Okay, here we are in section 7.5. We're solving this equation. These equations are going to have fractions, denominators. So what do we do to solve this? Whatever we have in the denominator, we just multiply all the terms by that number to cancel out the denominator. So multiply through by 4, 4, and 4. And right there it cancels. So this leaves us with x, 12, and 28. Does that make sense? All we got left here is x. The 4 is canceled. Here, 3 times 4 is 12. Whoops, kind of went too far on that. 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 times 7 is 28. See, no more fractions. When you multiply through by 4, that gets rid of the only fraction there. And now you can easily solve once the fractions are gone. So we get x equals, what is that, 16. All right, let's try the next one. So looking down here at number 2, what do? You identify the denominator, and I call it the hitman. You call in the hitman to take out the denominator. That's what a common denominator does. It acts like a hitman to take out denominators. So there's the denominator. We take aim at that thing. We're going to take it out. Multiply through, oops, getting kind of sloppy here. Multiply through by x. Gonzo, let it do its job there. Take it out. So what does that give us? 4x minus 12 is 8x. Now how do we solve for x? And there's no more fractions now. Notice we successfully took out the fractions. Subtract 4x from both sides. Bring these cancel, bring this down. Minus 12 is 4x. Last step to get x alone, divide by 4. X is minus 3. Let's keep going. Okay, now on number 3. Number 3 is a little bit easier than 3 and 4 here. Actually a little bit easier than 1 and 2 because we only have one fraction on each side. If you just have one fraction on each side, you can do a shortcut and just go diagonal, diagonal, and cross multiply. That'll be 4 times a is 7 times a minus 3. So it's just cross multiplying, diagonal, diagonal. And then what do we get from there? Distribute. 7a minus 21, that's an a there. Anyway, so now here's the wall. What do you do when you have a's on opposite sides? You get rid of one of them because you don't want a in two places. So let's subtract 7a from both. This is gone. And that will give us 4a minus 7a is minus 3a. Over here, minus 21. Last step to get a alone, divide by whatever is next to the letter. So exactly what's left to the last step is always dividing by exactly what's next to the letter. Same sign, same everything, both sides. Gonzo, a is negative over negative, positive 7. 21 divided by 3 is 7. All right, let's try the same thing down here on number 4. So this is a fraction and this is a whole number. So what do you do when you got a whole number interacting with a fraction? Put it over 1. Make it look like a fraction. And then that gives us just one fraction on each side. Diagonal, diagonal, cross multiply. 13 times 1 equals negative 1 times 5a minus 3. So diagonal, diagonal, cross multiply. Distribute. 13 is minus 5a plus 3. A wants to be alone, so subtract 3 from both sides. This gives me, what, 10 equals minus 5a. Last step to get a alone, divide by minus 5. A is minus 2. There we go. Okay, here's number 5. This is a little harder. We always have to factor denominators when they're not factored, so let's do that first off. So that, I'm sure you know how to factor that. X plus 6, x minus 6. That's a double as I call it, difference of squares. All right, now we get to here. Now what do we always do when we have denominators with an equal sign? We multiply through by the common denominator, which is both of these guys, right? The common denominator is one of every type of thing. So we don't use 2x plus 6's. We just use 1x plus 6 and 1x minus 6. Let me do it. So x plus 6, x minus 6. X plus 6, x minus 6. And even over here, you have to do equal treatment. Whatever you do to the left side, all the terms on the left side, you have to do to the right side, all the terms on the right side. And now remember what it is. It's a hitman. Let it do its job. It's going to take out denominators. Boom, boom. So what is that going to leave me? 1 times x minus 6. Right, this is gone. This is gone. And these are both gone. These are both gone, just 12. Now here, this stuff does not cancel out. It's going to FOIL. It's going to multiply out. So distribute, just going to get x minus 6 plus 12. Here, the 1 doesn't do anything. Just distribute these guys. You're going to get x squared minus 6x plus 6x minus 36. These cancel. So we get x plus 6. See these two right here? Make plus 6, minus 6 plus 12. And here we have x squared minus 36. Okay, now what are we supposed to do? Well, now we go into a whole nother mode. This is where you want to be crystal clear. Let me put the game plan over here. When you see x squared with an equal sign, that's what we see. We see x squared and an equal sign. It's a different problem, right? From the beginning, we had fractions. So when we have fractions, you know, we factor the denominator and then multiply through top by the LCD. But now, on this line, there's no more fractions. So fraction stuff is over. Now, our issue is we have x squared. When you have x squared with an equal sign, step 1, get a 0. You want to be crystal clear on this. You want to have this on your 3x5 card for the next exam. Because x squared with an equal sign will come up a lot. Get a 0 and factor, and each, you know, factor means like parentheses, and then each part equals 0 and solve. So let's see, what am I talking about? Get a 0. Well, that means you want to jump everything to one side. Now, which side do you want? You could jump this guy over here and this guy over here, and that would just leave 0 on the right. But I don't want to do that, because if I jump that x squared, he'll become, over to the left side, he'll become negative x squared. When things jump to the other side of the equal sign, their sign changes. So I do not want to go that way. Instead, I'm going to make these guys jump over here. That'll put 0 on this side. X squared minus x minus 36 minus 6. It doesn't matter what order you write those in, but the positive x needs to become a negative x when he jumps to the other side, and the positive 6 needs to become a negative 6 when he jumps to the other side. They change signs when they jump to the other side. And again, why I'm going this way is because the x squared is in the front, and I want him to be positive, regular. If I jumped him to the other side, he would have been negative. You never want the front term. You never want the x squared term being negative. That's just difficult to deal with. So what do we have then? This is going to give me minus x minus 42. So there's step 1. Get a 0. Step 2, factor. Okay, now how do we factor that? You know how to factor that. What multiplies to be 42 adds to be minus 1. Do the diamond thing. 42 minus 42, what? Multiplies to be minus 42, adds to be minus 1. 6 and 7. Sign on the bottom, down here, goes on the bigger. So plus 6 minus 7. That's my two numbers. So we get 0 equals x plus 6. X minus 7, like that. X plus 6, x minus 7. Okay, now, so that's step 2. Factor with the parentheses, we did. Step 3, each one equals 0 and solve. Why? Because two things are multiplying to equal 0. Two things are timesing to equal 0. That means either one could be 0. So let me bring it over here. I'm running out of room here. And that means that x plus 6 is 0, or the x minus 7 is 0. They both get their own 0, right? Each one equals 0, and then you solve. Jump this over, jump this over. So it's going to be negative 6 or positive 7 when they jump over. There's the two answers, except. Now, there's one extra tricky rule on this, and I'm probably not going to put this on the test. But basically, we have to cross off this answer. It's not a valid answer. Why? Because if you go back to the beginning, remember, any real answer that's really an answer should make the equation true. The beginning equation up here, the first equation, the very first step. If you put that minus 6 in right there for x, it's going to make that denominator 0. We never want the denominator to be 0. Whereas the 7, he's not a problem. Put in 7 here, put in 7 here. It doesn't make any denominator 0, so it's fine. So we have to throw out the minus 6. The answer is only 7 on this problem. Again, I'm probably not going to put anything that tricky on the test where you've got to check your answer at the end like that. Okay, so here on number 6, again, we've got a bunch of fractions. Take aim. That denominator, we got to get rid of them. That's always the game plan with fractions, get rid of the denominators. So what is it that's going to get rid of those? You need to use them both. So x plus 3 and x minus 3 there. X plus 3, x minus 3 there. X plus 3, x minus 3 there. So notice I put both denominators, the common denominator, top, top, top. And then, remember what he is, he's a hitman, let him cancel out. So what's left here? 7x, x minus 3, minus 7, x plus 3, x minus 3, equals, and here these guys cancel, x minus 7, x plus 3. Got a mess. Okay. Let's do it. Boom, boom. Got to distribute the 7x times the x and the 3. Be 7x squared minus 21x. Now, this is a real mess here. Let's leave the minus 7. Foil this out. X squared. Can I just go to x squared minus 9? Let me show it. It'll be x squared minus 3x. And when this distributes, plus 3x minus 9. And see how these will drop out? So I'm just going to make it x squared minus 9. You know it's x squared minus 9 because it's a double-double factored, right? Equals, and then these guys FOIL, x squared plus 3x, boom, boom, minus 7x minus 21. Okay, where are we at? So now, next line, 7x squared minus 20x, the minus 7 will go boom, boom, minus 7x squared plus 63, right? Negative 7 times negative 9 is plus 63. Other side, x squared. These two combine as like terms, minus 4x minus 21. Okay, this is a long problem. These guys are going to drop out. That's nice. So what do we have now? Minus 21x plus 63 is x squared minus 4x minus 21. All right, so here we are now, and we're going to go into the same thing we did on the last problem. We've got x squared with an equal sign. What's the plan? Step 1, you want to know this really well. It's going to come up a lot. It's 2 in a row here. First step, get a 0. Get a 0 where? On the opposite side from x squared. See, x squared's over here on the right side. You want to get 0 over here on the left side. So that means grab this guy and jump him over here, and grab this guy and jump him over there. So that gives me 0, and that'll leave nothing on the left side. Equals x squared minus 4x plus 21x. See how the minus 21x jumped to the other side, became plus 21x. Minus 21, and then this guy minus 63. Jump to the other side, change signs. That is, clean it up, x squared, what, plus 17x minus 4 plus 21 minus, what is that, 84. These guys make minus 84. So step 1, get a 0. All right, we're going to have to go to a new screen. Plus 17x minus 84. So step 1, get a 0 when you have x squared. Step 2, factor, right? Like the 2 parentheses. So I'll do the diamond thing here. Well, I got room to do it right over here. So we're saying what multiplies, adds, what multiplies to be 84, adds to be 17, 4, divide, take your calculator, take that 84 right here, and just start dividing by things. Divide by, don't do 1, divide by 2, 2, you get 42. Can 2 and 42 make 17? No way. Divide by 3, what's that, 28? Can 3 and 28 make 17? No way. Divide by 4, 4 and 21, yep, there's my pair, 4 and 21. Sign in the bottom, goes in the bigger. So plus 21 minus 4 makes the 17. All right, so where does that leave us then? This is x minus 4, x plus 21. All right, so that's factor. Let me do the steps here. Step 3, each one gets their own 0 and solve. Those are the 3 steps. So this one alone equal to 0. The other one equal to 0. Jump it over, jump it over. So the answers are 4 and negative 21. Let's make sure none of those answers make any denominator 0. 4 doesn't make these denominators 0. 21 doesn't make these, or minus 21 doesn't make those denominators 0. So those are both good answers. Both answers with a comma between them are correct answers to this problem. Okay, so here we are on number 7. Notice number 7 is one of the easier kind because it just has one fraction on each side. You see the difference? Let's look back to number 8. Or 6, I mean. See how 6 had a fraction, a number, and a fraction. 3 things in the beginning. Right? Whereas number 7 here just has 2 things, just one fraction on each side, so we can just cross multiply. A times a minus 12 is minus 27 times a minus 8. Distribute. A squared minus 12a. Distribute. Minus 27a plus whatever 8 times 27 is. I got with my calculator 216. Okay, what do we do now? Well, there it is, a squared. So you want to just have this game plan down. Whenever you see a squared or x squared or whatever with an equal sign, step number 1, get a 0. So which side? You always get 0 on the opposite side from the a squared or the x squared. So a squared's over here on the left, you're going to get the 0 over here on the right. So I'm going to jump these guys this way and this way. So it becomes a squared minus 12a plus 27a minus 216, right? They change signs. The minus 27a becomes plus 216 becomes minus. They change signs when they jump to the other side. And then gather like terms. What was that? Plus 15a. Right, these two make plus 15. So there's step 1, get a 0. Step 2, factor with the 2 parentheses. So how do we factor? It looks like a diamond to me. So we're going to need to do the diamond thing. What multiplies to be minus 216, right? Multiplies to be that guy. Adds to be that guy. So I need to take the calculator and divide by things. I'm going to do my calculator right now. I just do not know off the top of my head what in the world that would be. Let me see, 216 divided by, I don't know. I divided by 8. I'm just trying things out, and I got 27. 8 and 27, they can't make 15. No. 216 divided by, I don't know, 12? No. let me see. Did I miss it? Maybe 216 divided by 9? Oh, I think that's it. Is that it? Divided by 9, I got 24. Yeah, that's it, 9 and 24. So 9 and 24, sign in the bottom right here goes on the bigger. Plus 24 minus 9 is plus 15. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that was a tricky one. So, okay, so then that factors as a minus 9a plus 24 is 0. Step 3, each one gets their own 0 and solve. And you know the drill, right? It's just going to end up being plus 9 and minus 24. You can just skip to there. Now, I've got to make sure those two answers don't make any denominators 0. If you put in a 9 into that denominator, 9 minus 8 isn't 0. 9 minus 12 isn't 0. How about minus 24? Minus 24 minus 8 is not 0. Minus 24 minus 12 is not 0. As long as it doesn't make any denominator 0, they're both good answers. Both of them. They're both the right answers, 9 and negative 24. All right, number 8. Here we have 3 items, right? So it's not just one fraction on each side, so we can't cross multiply. Instead, we have to multiply through by the common denominator right across the top. Top. Common denominator, which is both these denominators. So x minus 11, x plus 11 right there, and the middle, oops, and right here. So all the way through x minus 11, x plus 11 to all 3. And then you cancel. Remember, he's a hitman. Take out the denominator. This and this cancel. What are we left with? 11 times x plus 11. Here in the middle, nothing cancels. And then over here on the right, the x plus 11s cancel. Like so. Okay. Distribute. No more fractions, notice. All the fractions are gone. 11x plus 121. Here, FOIL. X squared. Is that going to be plus 11x minus 11x minus 121 equals distribute x squared minus 11x. Okay. Now, we've got a lot of 11x's here. So how about these guys cancel? And we got 11x and 121 minus 120. Those cancel. That was weird. A lot of stuff canceled there. This is a really weird problem. Okay. Notice we have x squared on both sides, right? So bye-bye x squared. That's gonna. I'll just subtract x squared from both sides. Right? You can do the same thing to both sides of the equal sign. Gonzo, gonzo. So I have 11x is a minus 11x. Now you might be stuck at this point, but don't worry. Just keep right on moving. You don't, when you have x on opposite sides, you don't want that. You want to get rid of one of them. So just add 11x to both sides. Gonzo, that's 0. What is this? 22x, huh? Now what's the last step to get x alone? Divide by 22. Boom. X equals what? What is 0 over 22? 0. 0 on the top is just 0. Now is that okay? Yeah. If you go back to the beginning, if you put 0 into the answer, look at that. It does not make any denominators 0. 0 minus 11, 0 plus 11, they're not 0. So 0 is a fine answer. It's the answer. Okay, so here's number 9. Just one fraction on each side, so we can just cross multiply. Minus 16 times x. X minus 6 times x plus 6. Then we distribute. X squared plus 6x, boom, boom, minus 6x minus 36. So these cancel, don't they? X squared minus 36. Okay, what should we do at this point? Well, I hope you're getting really comfortable with it when you see x squared with an equal sign. X squared with an equal sign. What's the game plan? Step 1, get a 0 on one side. What side? The opposite side from x squared. X squared's over here, get a 0 over there on the left side. So I'm going to grab that minus 16, jump it over to the middle. That'll be 0, x squared plus 16x, right? When the minus 16x jumps to the other side, it changes signs. Step 2, factor. So what multiplies to be 36? Yeah, we're going to do the diamond thing here. What? And then adds to be minus 16. So what multiplies to be minus 36, adds to be plus 16. I don't know. Take 36 with the calculator, divide by 2. Oh, 2 and 18. That's it. First guess. 2 and 18. Sign in the bottom goes in the bigger. Plus 18 minus 2. It's a little scribbly there. Plus 18 minus 2. That's it. Plus 18 minus 2. Factor, and then you know each one, step 3, each one equals 0. And we solve. You know, it's just going to be minus 18 and plus 2, right? We can just jump to it when you set them equal to 0 and solve. Are they both acceptable answers? Yeah, minus 18 doesn't make that denominator 0. 2 doesn't make it 0 either. They're both good answers. There we go. Okay, here we are on number 10. First step, I'm going to have to factor that denominator. So that'll be 3x minus 3. I don't care, by the way, about factoring the numerator, this right here. Who cares? Not interested in doing it. Just going to factor denominators because we're all about common denominator. So anyway, how do you factor that? Well, diamond, what multiplies, add what multiplies to be minus 5, adds to be plus 4, 1 and 5. Sign in the bottom goes in the bigger. Plus 5 minus 1. There it is. So minus 1 plus 5. And that, I might have guessed, just because we have a plus 5 and a minus 1 in the other two spots. Probably would have been a good guess right off the bat. All right, so there we go. There it's factored. Let me give a little more room here. There it is factored. Now, get this out of the way. What are we going to do now? Common denominator, right? Multiply through, top, top, top. Common denominator, so that'd be x minus 1, x plus 5. X minus 1, x plus 5. X minus 1, x plus 5. Top, 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 the whole common denominator. Now what happens? Well, you know the drill. It cross cancels, right? Both of these, the hitman takes out the denominator. Takes both those out. We're left with 3x minus 3. Right here, x plus 5 is taken out 3 times x minus 1. Right here, x minus 1 is taken out. So there we are. No more fractions. Much better now. Now, we distribute and distribute. Gather like terms. 3x and 3x make 6x. Minus 3 is minus 6. 2x plus 10. What do we do when we have x's? Now my focus is on the x's. Don't worry about the numbers yet. First do the x's. What do you do when you have x's on opposite sides? You get rid of one of them. So I'll get rid of the 2x. Doesn't really matter which one. So then we've got 6x minus 6 is 10. Now get rid of the 6. Gonzo. So that gives us, I'll just bring it over here, 6x equals, what is that, 16. Last step, divide by 6. Oh, I got to reduce that, huh? Divide by 2. Top and bottom, what is that, 8/3. And there's our answer, 8/3. Whoops, I just realized I made a mistake. I just see it right here. Craziness. 6x minus 2x, that should be 4x. What am I doing? So this should be over here. Let's try this ending part again. Sorry about that. I went a little crazy. So 4x equals 10 and 6, 16. That's better. Divide by 4. X is 4. There it is. There's our answer. Okay, so we're on number 11. Let me bring it over here. There's a little more room. R equals V over J. So now we're going to deal with these ones that have lots of letters. Shouldn't be too bad. what do you do? It's the same rules. What do you do when you got a fraction on one side over here and then something that's not a fraction? You put it over 1, make it look like a fraction. And then with just one fraction each side, you go diagonal, diagonal. Rj is 1 times v. Cross multiply, diagonal, diagonal. What are you trying to solve for? It said for j, get j alone. So what do I do to get j alone there? I'm going to divide by the r. Boom. So j is v over r. Don't need that 1. It's not doing anything. J is v over r. So there's number 11. Make sure you type it in with capital V and capital R. It's picky about the uppercase, lowercase thing. Okay, so number 12. Bring it over here for a little more room. C equals 755y over h squared. So it's just like the last problem. Put this over 1, diagonal, diagonal, cross multiply when you just have one fraction on each side. Ch squared is 1 times 755y. So let me bring that down. Ch squared, 1 times 755y is just 755y. Now, what are we trying to solve for? They said get y alone. So to get y alone, I divide by 755. Boom, there it is. Y is alone. There's the answer. All right, and finally number 13. D over pi r is 7. Don't worry about that pi right there. That's just a Greek letter. It's actually the P in the Greek alphabet. Whatever, we're not going to put in 3.14. We're just going to leave it as it is. So here we go. One fraction each side, put it over 1, diagonal, diagonal. Cross multiply. D times 1 is 7 times pi r. D times 1 is just d. 7 times pi r is just 7 pi r. Now, what are we trying to solve for here? R. How do you get r alone? Divide by the 7 pi. Boom, boom. There it is. There's our answer. When you type that into Math Excel, a palette will open up, which will give you an option to type in the pi. Also, you could just type the letters pi when you're entering the thing, and it'll automatically convert it to the pi symbol. It knows to do that. So there's the section.